Welcome everybody to a very late edition of the Parts Unknown, aka the Clem and Claw Show. As everybody knows, usually it's second Mondays and fourth Mondays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. But it was my fault this time, but it's cool, no big deal. We're in it. So, with that
Yeah,
being said, there's nothing more for me to report on the weekend. For me, nothing special happened. Really, let's be
yeah,
serious.
same here, same here, same here. We know the little Rampage Paris Love fight got moved to April 3rd due to injury, so it got moved to April 3rd. So
This
supporters,
is like the second time it got moved because the
yeah,
first time it was supposed to be in February, but it got moved to March to
right,
help you sponsors sponsor the fight, and yet we're still short, but still. Anyways, you get another chance out of reprieve, people, in at least a week. So you have until April 3rd. So please get it done.
yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, so today is going to be a special episode because we have a special guest,
Ding ding
and
ding ding.
dun, 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 dun. And drum roll, please. Our special guest is no
Boom.
other than Miss Peyton Rose.
Hi.
Applause.
And welcome to
Applause,
the show,
applause,
Peyton.
applause, applause.
Sorry we kept you past your bedtime, or I
Oh,
did. Anyways,
I'm still cooking dinner. We won't go to that one.
oh, okay, I feel a little bit better. All right, Claus, I'll let you handle the introductions. I ain't got too much to say today. I'll say something, but not much.
Yes, yes, okay, I wrote my list of questions. So, Peyton, we thank you for joining us on the show here. I know it's been quite the journey since the last time you've been on the show, which was, I think about maybe almost not quite 2 years ago, but it was a little bit more than 18 months ago. I think
Yeah.
the last
Year and a
time,
half, year and a half ago.
yeah, because we
It's
had on
close.
one leading up to the match versus Janai. That's what was the last time
Yeah, yeah.
that
It's
we
supposed to be
had
her
you.
and Janine. That's what exactly
Yeah,
what it
we
was supposed to
had you
be.
on the show, and then unfortunately that match wasn't able to continue.
Didn't happen.
But yeah, but we're happy to have you here. We're happy to see you back. We have to see you back on the mat. This, yeah.
Yes.
So I definitely want you. You can testify, talk about your travels or whatever from the
Yep.
last time you've been on the show to now. But I know you had at least on record 3 matches.
Yeah.
uh,
That's the key word, on record.
Our record.
yeah,
And then also just what I can remember, because I was in a trip, or on a trip in Tulsa, and I had somebody that I work with pretty regularly be like, "Hey, do you remember everybody that you fought with?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I think so, sure." And he starts listing off names, and I'm just like, "Oh shit, I know four of those names." So if I'm gonna be honest, for fights since then, I can avidly remember Patience,
Yep.
um, Reagan,
Yep.
and yeah, I stay busy. I stay traveling a lot, and stay with the head injuries.
yeah,
Couple
yeah.
car wrecks
Okay.
this year. It's been fun. Being
Mm.
the passenger is awesome.
I don't think being passenger is the greatest thing in the world. I'm just glad you're
We're just
okay.
glad you're okay. Yeah.
I appreciate that,
We're
but
just glad you're
definitely
okay.
affects
That's
my
it.
memory. So I'm like, I know I fought a lot the past year and a half, but I'm not entirely sure
Yeah.
really who all I've fought.
Yeah. So, the first
Go
one
ahead.
I have down was, you fought Kyla, or no, Reagan. You fought Reagan, friend of the show. You fought her for Tilly. That one was it was ugly.
Yeah.
It was a day in the
Yeah. It was a
office. That one.
yeah.
I think
I don't know.
she got
Did
up
that look
like
like it was shot at the same place where I fought Patience?
no,
Uh,
no, not physically.
no.
No, that one was shot in Tilly had that should have been shot in Virginia. That was shot around in Virginia, in
Yeah,
the
that was
DC
shot.
area.
Yeah, yeah. Because the one with patience was the one in. I want to say that was in Houston or
No,
Memphis.
that
I
one
forget
was in
which one it is.
Memphis.
I think it's Memphis.
That one should have been in Memphis.
Yeah,
And with Patience?
yeah. The one you fought patience was Memphis. Yes, that
Yeah,
was Memphis.
Patience was a local fight.
Yeah, that was That was
I did
Yeah.
not travel for Patience.
Oh, you didn't. Oh,
oh
so that one
Houston.
was in
Oh yeah,
Houston.
that's right,
Okay,
Houston.
okay.
That
Well,
was
That was
wow.
in
local. I
Houston.
think that was actually in Dallas. Hey,
That
wait. whenever I did
Oh,
that
okay.
fight and I had to fight, I fought Reagan, and then I came out to the car and I like slept for an hour, and then I went back in and I fought Patience,
Wow.
right? That was in Dallas, right? That was like
Oh,
20
that
minutes
was
from my house. That was both. That was in Dallas. I fought them
that was in
both in the
Dallas.
same day. I only had an
The
hour
same
of
day.
rest in between.
Yeah, which
Iron Woman.
I was
Unbelievable.
going to get to that part. Right,
She's
she
already
already
beating you
beat
to
you
it
to it.
already. Before you got to the point, she beat
I
you already.
okay. First starting with the first Kyla fight. We knew it was a tough day in the office. It was tough sledding. I think you was down like 5-0, like within 5 minutes.
Yep.
It was rough. It
It
was
was,
rough.
it was, even on
Actually, I
my
think
first fight
yeah.
against her back when I was 18, I at least got one tap, and it was pretty early in the fight. This one, I was getting pretty brutalized.
Yeah, because we was sitting there, we was like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is not gonna last long. Like I remember
Yeah.
being for the live stream, being at work. So I only got to see the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes. And that told me literally all I need.
It's a good thing you did. The rest, it got worse.
They
It got
told the
worse
whole
in between
story.
the first and the last.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was,
It
it
was
was
it
bad,
was
man. And at one point, and let's also, at one point, we were all like, at one point, can we give Paige some mercy, please? Let's do something where she's, please.
yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, because
no.
sometimes we'll see in fighters if one person is just getting trounced and they're not used to it or they're new,
We're like,
it can
nah.
mentally break them to the point where they be like, look, I can't do this no more. And it's like
We've seen a
we've
few.
seen that happen.
We have
So
seen a few.
then we would get to the patience fight. Now I will
Oh
say
Yep.
wait, are you talking? Okay, I've had two fights with Kyla.
I was talking
One,
about the very first one.
okay, and that
We thought
one
the
we
very
had to do
first.
like a split halfway through, right? We like
Correct.
cut it the middle. Okay, that
Correct.
fight. I love my girl. God, I love Reagan. That one kicked my ass. Like, she's coughing up blood in the fucking bathroom afterwards. I'm over here like
Ooh.
begging for a shot of vodka, and like the girl's house that we're shooting at, she actually brings it to me, and I didn't actually mean it, and so she brings me this warm shot of vodka at the end of this cat fight, and I'm on camera, so of course I have to take it, and probably one of the worst shots of vodka I've absolutely ever had. I will be so honest, because I'm sitting there, I can barely breathe. I will never forget, like, I fought that one and I fought it hard, but she wanted it so much more, and oh my goodness, she did me in on that one. And like I said, at the end of it, we went into the bathroom. I'm pulling pieces of my hair out. She's coughing up a little bit of blood, and I'm just like, oh girl, we still have 10 more minutes. Like, let's do this. We get back into it. Ain't no more friends. Like,
That's what I'm
only
talking about.
fights.
That's what I'm
And
talking
so
about.
we get through
Yes.
it. We get through the 20 minutes. She takes it. I take that shot of vodka, and I was so happy for it to be over. God, I was so happy for that fight to be over. That was brutal.
Yeah.
So thankfully, that was not the day where I had to do the two fights on one, because if I had to do another fight after that, I probably just would have collapsed.
Now, kind of a backstory. I don't know if you knew what happened to Reagan, her previous fight before. So one of the things that Clem has seen the fight, and one of the things we always talk about, if you get destroyed like in the fight, usually that fighter, one or two things are going to happen. They either mentally collapse where they just never come back, or they take that loss and then let it fester to the point to where whoever the next person they fight, they gonna just catch it.
I don't know, man. I think I've had 3 or 4 cat fights that I have lost now, and then finally took my first win on this last one. Every
Yeah,
single loss was just more fuel for me to be like, no, 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 no.
yeah.
I'm not done yet. But I did start at 18 doing my first cat fight with Lena, and I was so nice. If you ever go back and rewatch that, I'm like, I don't even know if they put this in the video. When they were interviewing me, they were like, is there anything you're worried about or anything you want to say? I'm like, oh, I just don't want to hurt her. And like, I'm being so sweet and so genuine, because I had no idea what I was getting into. Like, I did, like, I can't say Sweet Fights didn't tell me what I was going to do, but I had no fathomable idea of what I was actually doing. I'd wrestled in high school, and I didn't know we were like going like balls to the wall. Like, I hadn't even started in the wrestling circuit yet. I started with sweet fights. I started with a cat fight. And then I just took another loss and another loss and another loss after that. And then I finally came back and won one.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
Yep.
so what, like for example, in the case of Kyla, she had fought what was it? Was it what was Carrie Spectrum, and
Carry
it did
Spectrum,
not go
and
well.
she got destroyed.
And Reagan got destroyed. It was not good. So we knew it was so bad that Reagan didn't fight for three
Yep,
years. That's how bad of the loss was.
exactly. It's how bad
She
it
did,
was. She got destroyed
Oh
to the
goodness.
level. She got destroyed to a level that we saw something that has never been
yeah,
seen in a cat fight. I'll just
yeah.
leave it at that. I don't
Now
want
she
to
did,
spoil
you know, the
the thing, but
APL
people
stuff and
know how
all
you
of
know what
that.
happened.
But as
Yeah.
far as like an actual cat fight, she didn't do one for three
She
years.
didn't
It
do
was
nothing
so
for
bad.
3 years.
And so, and you just
Yep.
happened to be the sacrificial lamb. It
Mm-hmm.
was just
Yep.
like, yep. So we knew, okay, well, and then of course, you know,
Boy.
after you fought Kyla, then it was supposed to be Janai, and then that didn't happen, and then you ended up fighting Patience, in which you ended up winning.
Yep.
Your fight for those.
Let
Not
me
an
tell
easy fight at
you, that
all,
girl
by
did
any chance.
not want to give anything. Like, Patience did not want to give
Yep.
anything. And I was so done with it. Like, no. We went in and I think between around 2 and 3, she wanted water, and I go off camera and I go get her water and I give it to her, and she even sits down and like you hear Reagan be like, "In 30 seconds we're gonna resume," and that I guess that was her basically saying, whether you're sitting down or not, like we're going back at this, and
For people who don't know, Reagan is
oh
gangster like
yeah,
that.
and
People, if you
she
haven't
also
noticed
knows
her, that's
like
how she is. When she's on camera, that's
if
what she
she
do.
looks at me and is like, "We're going," I'm gonna be like, "Okay, we're going," like whatever.
Yeah.
And so I could tell from the second me and Patience started, it was gonna be a little bit of a struggle, but I didn't think she was gonna stonewall me basically the entire fight. Like laugh when I would try to be putting her in pain. Like at one point we're on the couch and I have her all stretched out and she's giggling, and if anybody's wondering why she's giggling, it's because I'm shoving my toes in her vagina. Um she did not know how to take that, but I also had nowhere else to shove them. Um, so I did what I did, and there was a couple times she almost had me, but I'm counting in
Right.
my head exactly how long I have left, and I'm just like, no, I'm
Yeah.
tougher than you are, and you want to
Yes.
stonewall me through this? You're
Mm-hmm.
not getting me here. And so I knew I just needed one.
Mm-hmm.
I just needed one tap. And once I got that one, and
Yep.
it was in the third round, I was done. I was like, whatever. Now I'll just hold
Yep.
through the rest of the match.
Yep.
You can put me with whatever. I'll hold you
Yep.
off. I've got you.
Yeah.
You're done.
And
Yep.
that's the thing. Clem
Yep.
knows where I'm going with this. That's one of
Yes, I
my
do.
things that I'm very big on is the mental aspect of it. Being a matter awareness,
Yep.
knowing the clock in your head. Like, okay, if I get this person, okay, how much time do I have left? All of these things play a part into the strategy. And you just summed
Yep.
it perfectly.
If
Like
you
once you
watch
got that
us
one,
walk up to
I
each
was
other
like,
every time, you can see the mental aspect difference between her and I. Like at the beginning, you can
Yep.
see she's not taking it seriously. She can't keep me straight in the face. She looks back and then like kind of is like unsure how to keep that direct eye contact.
right,
Okay, second time, round 2, we're getting up and she's a little pressed now. She's pissed off that I've like forced her to stonewall me basically,
hmm
but she's winded. We get to round 3 and she's like a little shooketh. And I'm standing up and I'm already like, okay, don't show emotion, don't show tiredness. Like she knows you just had
Yep.
a fight. Don't show anything, just go. And so that was my mental, like, is just keep your face straight. Don't show that you're tired. Don't show anything. Just be like, all right, come on. Like, we got a clock ticking and one of us has to win. So who's it gonna be, me or you?
Yep.
And
oh,
I would
yeah,
100% say that my mental is the only reason that I won that fight, because I was exhausted. Because, like I said, I had just fought Reagan an hour earlier. I'd just done a cat fight with Reagan
Yep.
an hour earlier. Like, oh my God. I had an hour to go lay in my car, eat some hummus, chug a Gatorade, and come back inside.
oh
Yep.
Jesus, because it
Yep.
just which made me even appreciate your fight against her even more so. because
Yep.
it was like
Yep.
again for all of us that we're just looking at lineal. Okay, this is her fault, even though technically you fought Kyler, but we didn't know that. We
Yeah.
didn't
We
know
don't
that
know
going
this.
in. So we were like, okay, she's gonna fight, and then it's like, and I'm looking at you in the stand down, and it's like for Patience. And to Patience's credit, I know the fight that she had before, because I know that kind of got switched around. Because originally, Clem, correct me, keep me straight with it. So originally, it was supposed to be Karma was supposed to fight Savannah Fox. Then they
Correct.
moved Savannah Fox
Exactly.
out. I know Karma out the way to bring in Sarai. So then it
Yep.
was supposed to be Savannah Fox and
And that didn't
Sarai.
work either.
Then neither one of them made it. So they ended up making it
Yeah.
Karma
You know the real story like me.
versus Patience.
Yep.
And Impatience
Yep.
won. She,
Yep.
but it was just the thing is you can tell she was starting to try to get it, but we know she hadn't been pushed yet. And knowing that she was going to fight you, I'm like, okay, she's about to get
Yep.
pushed. Sometimes you need somebody to take you
Okay.
out to the
Let's see
deep
it.
end, and let them
Yep.
see how if they can sink or swim.
So that whole mentality aspect
And
of
we know
when
you're a
people get
veteran,
beat,
so
they either
yes.
come back really hard or they don't fight again. I definitely told my boyfriend, who was actually in the car when I got out, I was like, that's going to be her fight. I was like, this is her second fight, and she lost. She won the first one. She lost the second one. I'm like, she's either going to come back much harder or she's not going to come back into cat fighting. Like, and he's like, are you
Yep.
sure? I was like, oh, I'm positive. I was like, because whenever I did my first
Yep.
cat fight, I considered never coming back. I was like, I don't know about all that. And then I kept wrestling, and I'll be honest, like, Ray's not in the entertainment business anymore. RVQ has been taken over by somebody else, but Ray was an absolute
Paisley
catalyst and
Prince.
pushed me to do my absolute best from 18 to when I had my baby to even after I had my baby. Hey, come back. You can
Mm-hmm.
still do this.
Mm-hmm.
And is absolutely the reason I'm here
Yeah.
5 years after having my kid.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, so
Mm.
then shout out to Ray, definitely legend in this business, things of that nature.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
and then we get to the second fight with your second fight with Reagan. Oh my God,
Reagan.
that was a nice
Oh,
New Year's present, lack of better term,
it
for
was
when she put it out.
correct.
And
Yep.
so now I will say this: I have a small story to talk about with that fight. So I had bought it, had supported, but I hadn't gotten the link for the fight was you versus Patience. So Reagan texted me the link literally just before she fought you. And the reason why I know that is because so I get the link and I'm thinking, okay, well, I didn't know what time y'all was supposed to start. So I said, oh, okay,
Yeah.
let me
True.
click on the link. So, and then I saw, okay, I see it was like a ground shot on the floor. And I was like, oh, well, maybe they're going to get ready and get warmed up. And then I see you, and then I see Reagan, and I know it's Reagan because of her tattoos on the side. And her being a Saints fan, I'm a
Yep.
Saints fan, she's a Saints fan. So I see it, I'm like, wait a minute, this is right. I'm like, what is this? And then next thing I know, I see you two scrapping, starting to scrap. But because of
And we see Tilly with the
right,
camera work
but
too.
because it was
That's the
her,
point.
I guess the stuff on whatever phone she would use to just me, it was just sitting stationary. So y'all was rolling in like maybe a third of it. I was rolling out of the shot, and I kept getting kicked out the room,
Yep.
and I didn't know what was going on. So the first thing I'm thinking to myself
Round
was,
one.
well, the first thing I was thinking to myself was, oh, something happened with Patience. She couldn't make it. So now Reagan is going to step in and fight you again. And I was like,
You're not the only one. I
so
got
that's
I,
what
I got a story to tell too. I'm
what
like you. I got kicked out myself.
you got kicked out too, Cliff?
I got kicked out myself because I was coming in thinking that it was this. Same thing
So
happened
that's
to
what
me.
because what had
Keep
happened
going.
was is Reagan, her last fight before she fought you again, she was supposed to fight Bella Inc. for Tilly.
Mm-hmm.
And Bella
Yep.
Inc. did not come,
Exactly.
did not arrive before the fight, didn't arrive at all. And so Tilly ended up having to jump in. Because you done got Reagan all the way out
Yep.
here. And you see what I'm saying? So we thought it may have been the
Yep.
same thing. It just happened to Reagan just weeks ago. And now she's doing it here, just to save the shoot, not knowing that it was already set. So to come
As
back,
you
and then
do.
when I realized that you was going to fight Now you're about to fight Peyton. I said, wait a minute. That means Peyton's going to fight twice. But I'm thinking the first one maybe it's just y'all were just going to do a roll around, or you know how you do a custom. Just like for somebody, you know, all right, well we do this kind of off the record or whatever, you know. And I
Yep.
didn't know it was going to be
Mm.
this full. I was like, oh wow. And so even though I didn't know the scope of your match versus Reagan at the time, I just knew you just did a roll around custom with Reagan before you were about to fight Patience. So, and like you said, by the time y'all got done, you're right. You had about an hour before everything started back up, and
Yep.
so I was like,
Yep.
"This ain't ooh, okay. She's ready.
At
She's
that point in time,
limber."
I was kind of worried about you. I'm like, I'm worried about her physical. At that point, I was more worried about her physical, not mental. I was like, is she physically gonna be able
I
to do
had
2 matches?
such
Once we figured
terrible
that out.
muscle fatigue. Like, I got into that fight and I was fine during the first 2 minutes of round one. And then I started feeling it as I would like push into her, like do anything with my body, and I'd be like, oh, there's that muscle fatigue. I feel like I've been like, in middle school track and field all day. Like, I am messed up right now. But I just kept being like, no, no, you
Yeah,
gotta push. Like,
muscles can sense
Yeah.
up.
It was one of those things. I'm gonna yeah I would say that that was literally one of the best performances I've seen from someone in a while in this business because you do two
Agreed.
20 minutes, and like you said, you only had an hour in between. I mean, that's next level. That's
Mm,
next level. Like most
mm.
most folks, that is just not for the
I
weak.
had just
And the
enough
fact-
time for my adrenaline to go down from the last fight. Literally, because I was in there
There you go.
shaking,
Just.
looking at my boyfriend, going, "Please, like, just like help me. I don't know what to do. I'm like, I can't calm down." And I think it's because I know I have another fight, and like I just fought, and so my body's like in this weird middle position.
Mm,
And
Okay.
he's just like,
mm.
"It's okay, let's listen to some music. Let's calm down." Before I knew it, it was time for me to go back inside, and I was just like, "Okay, let's. I'll be back in 20 minutes. I love you. I'm not driving home."
That's when you're like, you gotta have somebody else driving. I'm not driving. No, not today.
This is the part where the husband's. This is the part where the boyfriend, the husband's like, "I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already seen your thing. I
Straight
got
up,
it."
like he had to
That's what
run
happened.
back to the house for something that Tilly needed for the shoot, so he drove like an hour around while we're doing shoots and everything.
Ooh.
Oh,
Drove all the way back,
oof.
dropped us off what we needed, and then when I was done, came in and got my bag and basically carried me out. It was, he
That
was
sounds
he
about
was
right.
so sweet. I was just like, thank you so much.
Oh Jesus. Oh Jesus. Yeah.
Wow,
Let me see.
it's
Oh
nuts.
God. So now that you went through all that, what is next for Peyton? Is there someone out there in the catfight world that you have your
Mm,
eye on, or you be like, you know what? I wonder what it would be like our styles if we was, throw hands or what have you.
There's nobody I really have my eye on. I'm hoping to be the person that people have their eye on.
Mm.
I'm hoping to be the person that says, like, I want to
mm.
fight Peyton. Like, I want to do this because I started my production company. I have my high school best friend doing it, and she messaged me. And that's actually the model I debuted today. Was my best friend
Yep.
of like since we were 14, which stories for another time. Crazy stories that will definitely fuel fighting in the ring with me and her. And
Mm.
it's just so crazy because she's texting me and like she didn't want to work a day job anymore, and she's like, what can you do for me? And I was like, I'm wanting to open my production anyway. Why don't I just hire you? Let's just get you in. Let's start you fighting. Let's just, you don't want to work for Walmart, basically, fine, let's stop it then. And she was like, do you really think I can do this? I was like, I know you can do this. And then she gets really hyped up. I order the boots, I order our mats, I order knee pads, elbow pads. We go shopping the other day at the
Uh-huh.
mall to go find, all those outfits and stuff. And she texts me yesterday and she's like, I can't wait for your mats to get here. I'm going to fight you so hard. And I was just, I just
Wow.
responded, I can't wait either. This is going to be so much fun because, I'm going to be sweet about it. And then we just did, the clip we did today, and it's obviously very fantasy, not what you would do in a cat fight. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of it, she's like, I could feel when I would push on you what muscle you could have given back, but you would hold back because you didn't want to throw me across the bed. And I'm just like, well, I'm going to fight you so hard.
And,
So,
and ladies and gentlemen, what Peyton is speaking of, and this is a good segue into it. Is da 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 da? She has a new website that you can buy this mess on
Website.
PeytonRussels.gumroad.com.
Yeah.
Uh,
And for people and for
congratulations.
the fans who haven't noticed, go to the Gumroad. There's a lot of producers. Your boy Klaus Webb is
Yeah.
also on
Yeah.
Gumroad. Also Tilly's on there. I think my guy Slap City's on there.
Yep.
Sweet Fights is
Candy
on
Saber
there.
Fights is
Kids
You get
on
on
my
there.
drift.
there.
Quite a few.
SKW.
Yeah,
Candy
SKW.
Fights
I'm
is
go ahead.
on
I'm gonna let you
there.
promote him in there.
Yeah.
He's in there too. Caddy Fights is on there. Queen
Even
Rita is on
even
there. There's
Adam
quite a
still
few
has
people.
stuff from
Adam is there.
lyrics husband. They still got stuff
Yep.
on there. And so
They still
yeah,
got
so
stuff.
I
So
definitely
stuff to go around, people.
I'm gonna leave this up a little bit longer just in case somebody need to copyright it down. But
There
yes,
you go.
but I definitely highly recommend Gumroad. I love it. Gumroad is it was so easy to use as far and now they've added some more features with the
I
video and the
set it
video
up
aspect
They
today
have.
they
and
added
posted
today.
a video today.
That's
Like,
beautiful.
set up to post within 8 hours.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Like, that's awesome.
Yes. So
Fantastic.
and Gumroad, just the way it's set up and all that, I'm like, yes, I just
It's
oh
very user friendly.
I'm so happy that
yeah,
I'm so happy they got new stuff for you
yeah.
guys as producers because y'all got a lot of stuff and a lot of footage y'all have to cut up and slice
Mhm.
up and upload and all that stuff. We
I
fans don't
hate
understand
to do
this.
this,
The
but I guess I'm gonna
distribution.
be full frontal honest. So while my girlfriend is like, taking off her uniform and her boots and whatever, I literally edited the entire video and had it resoluting into 4K, and I had it finished before she left. I just had to wait for it to upload for a few hours. It took me all of 2 minutes to edit because we did one cut. So it was super straightforward, and she did awesome. She did super awesome. I'm super excited for her to get into this. I think she's going to do great.
Cool.
And then Paige's
Cool.
gonna have her own league and faction of, of these.
And by the way, people, we're getting education in the life of a fighter. It don't matter if it's fantasy fighting, cat fighting,
Yeah.
wrestling. We're all getting an education,
Now,
fans.
if there are
Recognize
any
it.
ladies, because you're in Houston, correct? The
I'm in
Houston,
Dallas.
Dallas. But anyone that's
Oh, you're
in
in
the Dallas
Dallas.
area and you wish to join Peyton and her
I have
Day in
mounts
the Merry
coming
Lady,
in. They're going to be different than everybody else's. These are pink and light blue. They're like baby pink and baby light blue, completely different than anybody else's mats.
Interesting.
Yes.
mm,
You got that right.
Went
this,
completely different.
Hmm.
That's also why I went with the black boots, the black elbow pads, the black knee pads, because I've always been known as a darker character, if you will.
mhm.
So
Okay.
like it says on my website, Peyton Rhodes, pain and pleasure. And I was thinking pain for pleasure, but
Right.
not everybody gets pleasure out of pain. So pain and pleasure for us.
Yes. And if you would like to contact her,
Yes.
it's at the Peyton Rose on Twitter. I have
Yes.
it down at the bottom.
Okay, so I guess I
Yes.
got some questions now. So let's go back to the beginning. So how'd you get into the modeling industry? I'm going to ask some simple questions for the beginner fans
Okay,
over
once
here.
again, super honest. I was stripping. I was a stripper at a very high end club in Dallas. Like, they don't even have poles, it's known as a saloon instead. And I had somebody approach
Mhm.
me at the age of 18 and go, "You are way too pretty to be, up on that stage." And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you." They gave me a business card and started me on modeling. I started my model mayhem, and within 2 months, I got contacted by Sweet Fights. And that was it. Sweet Fights
Mm.
shot me at Ray's house, and Ray contacted me within a month and was like, "Hey, I loved your look." And Ray is really the one that kind of put me into everything.
So,
Okay, another question. How'd you get into this? How'd you discover APL? For people who don't know what APL is, there's a wrestling, female wrestling organization for Portugal and all
I
these
did
other
not
places, and they have
discover
all kinds of
APL.
stuff.
I have never even talked to APL. APL discovered me.
Ah,
They found me on RVQ Entertainment and said, "I love her." And now they script me with everybody, or they hire me with everybody, because I don't care if I win or lose. I'm gonna fight. I love to fight. Like, I have a 5-year-old kid who can sit here and put me in a headlock and axe kicks me in the face whenever I'm laying down and she wants something. Does she get disciplined for it? Yes. But is she learning how to fight? Absolutely. One day at a time.
Wow.
That was actually my last question was going to be about APL. So Clem, you already beat me to it. That told me great minds think alike. You beat me to it. So.
Wow. So I guess in your case, you've always been a fighter your whole life. It don't pretty much from what
Yeah,
I'm
no,
gathering.
I've always loved to fight. It's always been for me. Now, I'm not gonna say I've never lost a fight in the real world or things like that. You know, to win you got to lose, so it is what it is. But I've always liked the fights. I've always been wrestling, powerlifting, sports of any kind. I love a fight of any kind. I want to better
Yep.
myself, get more knowledgeable in every single way, and just create the best version of myself. And wrestling is one of those things that does that for me. It keeps me mentally sharp, physically sharp, and it calls for more from me.
No,
And by the way, people, when you go to sports, sports is supposed to be a teaching mechanism. Also, it's
Yep.
supposed to be a teaching thing. When you win or you lose, or as I like to call it, you win or you learn. One of the
To
two.
win,
now,
you got to lose first. For
now,
every
Yep.
failure, you will eventually get that win, but you cannot win if you have not failed.
Yep.
now, let
Exactly.
me ask you this: is something which I know you can attest. Because now you've had several cat fights. What was your biggest? You talked about the mental aspect of you fighting patience. And what was your biggest thing you learned from, let's say, because I'm not gonna count your first fight because I don't think any of us ever seen
Nah,
it.
we're not counting that.
We don't even know where to find it. But from when you fought Reagan the first time to even when you fought Reagan the second time, or even because that day you fought Reagan and
So
Patience.
I
So
fought Reagan for RVQ Entertainment in competitive grappling before I ever fought her in cat fights.
correct, correct.
Oh,
And
okay.
Because you
if
Right.
you
did
ever
say
wanted to
that.
find the fight with my first cat fight and see me get absolutely brutalized as a little 18-year-old, it's on Sweet Fights. Steve owns that. It's with
Sweet.
Lena.
Okay, it's a sweet fight. Okay,
Is
Okay.
a blonde girl that I
Okay.
fought, and boy, she really killed little 18-year-old me. Um, so
Wow.
Kyla Reagan, she was the first person that I ever wrestled that I couldn't take. That I had to be told. So before that, Ray had to tell me to slow down because I had ran models off. There were girls that wouldn't come back to even just competitive wrestling with us because I couldn't hold back. And I still get told by every producer I work with, okay, Peyton, I need you to calm down. You need to be easier. Like, hey, like, we're just doing fantasy on this one, so you don't have to go all out. And I'm just like, okay, don't have to, but can. Like,
I love you. You're like one of those people. You know the rules are there, but you
I want to
you
push them a
push it
little
all the
bit.
way until
So
there's
with
a moment.
Reagan being my first one that was like more serious to where like it shook me, like when she got me on that first tap, I didn't want to accept it. I hated it. And so I learned I learned a couple things. One, never underestimate your opponents. Two, never think you know everything. And three, I really, really hate losing. And every time I have to tap or I have to submit, or I've even been knocked out twice on the mats because I'm so damn stubborn.
Mm.
I hate it. Every
I
time. I hate it
She
some
just
more.
she just answered my question. She answered my question on when is enough to the point where you finally have to give it up before you mentally go
Um,
out. I
I've
mean, when
been
I say mentally, I
knocked
mean
out. I
physically
have
out.
dislocated a toe, and I have broken 4 ribs
Is it due to
due
stubbornness?
to wrestling. So yes, sheer stubbornness.
Jeez.
because my thing had always been, and this goes back to something that we had brought up with Tilly one time she was on the show, going into mat awareness side, not
Friend of the show
another
too, by
friend
the
of the
way.
show, not from the standpoint of okay, you just want to tap for the sake of tapping. That sometimes you got to have that clock in your head. You don't want to spend all this energy. Let's say, for example, you get trapped in the schoolgirl pen.
Tilly's the one who taught me how to count in my head. So I worked with her, and I realized she was counting
Yep.
in her head with Ray. And the first time I heard her say that was at his original apartment that I had worked at, not the one with the like concrete floors, but when you would see the 2 doors in the back. Um, and
Mm.
so well, after I heard that, I was like, that's so genius. That's brilliant. I need to do that.
Yes,
So after
because
some time, I learned.
you don't want to spend. Let's say, for example, if you got a 10-minute round or a 20-minute match or something, you don't want to spend 8 minutes trying to get
Yep,
out of a hole where if you know you're more
exactly.
skilled than that other person and they just happen to catch you that one time, okay, fine, tap because I know in the next 8 minutes
Congratulations.
I can get
Tap.
her to tap twice. You see what? That's
Exactly.
Yep.
where the mental machinations start rolling in your mind. It's like, man,
The mental game is so big
yeah,
when it comes to wrestling and fighting both. That's what people don't understand. You always be your opponents mentally. You can have all the physicality in the world. You can be the most
Yep.
physical person in the world, but these matches always come to how much stamina can you have, how much endurance do
Mm-hmm.
you have,
now,
and I like to call it in-fight
yeah.
strategy, as I like to call it, in-fight adjustments.
Now
That's another
I'm
thing.
going to ask this question. I think I have an idea of what Peyton is going to go with it.
I think I know
Yeah,
where this is going
the
to
Clem may
begin.
know where I'm going with this. So I have this epiphany
Yes.
that's out now. So is cat fighting a fetish with sport elements or a sport with fetish elements?
So that's a very interesting question because you could ask the same question about pole dancing because people have wanted pole dancing to be in the Olympics for quite a while now. I would say that it is a sport
Ooh.
with fetish style things in it because it's a very athletic thing. It's the same way that you would look at boxing. There are boxing videos in this. There's wrestling videos in this. It's all the same. Cat fighting to me is no more than advanced Greco-Roman style wrestling. It's just naked wrestling with
Mm.
some punches and hair pulling in it. Like that's really all it is to me. And so for me, I'm not going to watch that fight and be, very turned on or find it to be very fetishy. My fetishes are, completely different. Not going to disclose here, but, of my
Yeah.
own. But fetishes are to each of their own. So I would believe that it is a fighting sport and there are people that find there to be a fetish aspect in it. For me, I believe the custom videos have a more sensual and fetishy aspect, and the fighting is just fighting to
Mhm.
me. Like I am 100% thinking about nothing other than the kill, basically, um, and that's all it is. And so, to us fighters, I would 100% believe it's a sport that people look at it and say, "Oh, well, I like this aspect about it, or I like the way this looks, or I like this," and I love that. That's what keeps it going.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. So when it comes to these new girls coming around, because there's a lot of new people who are now translating into the catfight world, or at least attempting to do a catfight world. What kind of advice is plural? So basically, give me more than one advice would you give these girls?
So my advice is always going to be never underestimate your opponent. You don't know where they come from, what they've done, who their brother is, who their mom is, who their sister is, what their backstory is. Like you don't know what they had to defend
Mm,
on a daily. Like you don't know anything about
mm,
them. So one, never underestimate your opponent. Two, never stop striving to get better because you could be the best in the world, but you still got another stair you can climb. You can always go higher. And
mm,
three, don't be disrespectful. Like in the end, yes, we're fighters, we're fighting each other, but this is a job and you don't have to step on people to get to the top. You don't have to take people food out of people's mouths. Like there's enough for us all to eat at the table. And honestly, like you don't have to be hateful at the beginning of a fight before you fight the person because you
mm.
got to get in your mood or whatever. You don't have to be hateful at the end. Like we all have something to do. And as my dad always taught me when I was young and watching WWE and UFC growing up, a lot of these people they leave and they go have a drink together or some coffee together. So like, and
Yep,
that's what he told
yep.
me, and I didn't believe him. And now
He's
I
right.
turned 18, almost 25. I've been doing this for 7 years now. I can't tell you how many times I've gone out and had a drink or coffee with these people after beating their ass or getting my ass beat by them. So just stay
I know
humble.
Exactly.
some producers they hate it because they feel like it kills the competitiveness
The mood.
that
It
you
kills
know the
the
killer instinct that
competitiveness.
like
Exactly.
oh well you you
Exactly.
you,
I'm
you
very
can
fortunate to have not worked with any of those producers then because I can say all of my producers have taken us out and So if you've seen me on any videos, we've all gone out and we've had drinks afterwards. We've had dinner afterwards. You know, like even Sweet Fights. He's super cool.
Well, they don't mind the afterwards. It's the beforehand.
Oh, they want you to be super serious and stuff before.
Not after.
I can understand their want for that, but at the same time,
I'm like,
this is an
right.
This is a fighting aspect, but at the same time, there's an acting aspect to it. Like, and the acting only comes from the fact of, okay, who's gonna act like they want that money more?
What?
Who's gonna act like they want to win the fight more? I'm not saying we're acting on, okay, this is a framed fight. No, who's gonna act like they want to win more? Who's gonna act like they want it more?
Well,
So,
in other words, who has more hunger to actually win the fight?
Who is more bloodlust hungry? Who wants it more?
Who has a desire to win?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. Whew, oh my Lord Jesus. And so this has been Clem. Yeah, this has been expanded. This has to be clearly one of our top 3 interviews we've had.
No question.
This is definitely up there. We still got sidebar stuff. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure if you would like to support Peyton, it is PeytonRussels.gumroad.com. That's her website where you'll be able to find all of her content. If you would like to contact Peyton, you can find her at DPeytonRose on Twitter. And ladies and gentlemen, again, our special guest is Peyton. Clem, before we do the sidebar part and take our break going in the sidebar, Clem, is there anything you want to say, your socials and all that?
Oh yeah, the socials is coming, but I'm just glad. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm just blessed that we have a fighters from a fighter's perspective, an experienced one at that, which actually knows what she's doing and actually knows the physical and mental thing. Most fighters, our young fighters, don't understand fighting's a mental game, very mental. With that being said, Clem_AKUFO on IG and Clem Akufo on Twitter.
Yes, and I am Causewell on Twitter and IG. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our next episode is April the 10th. April the 10th.
Correct.
Yeah, so
and I think, and maybe by that time we might have a few cat fights. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe
which will be the day after Easter.
Just pushing. We'll see.
So day after.
Oh yeah. By the way, it is the day after Easter, and since we're on the subject of Easter, everyone have a blessed happy Easter. Don't eat too much candy. Don't eat too much chocolate. You know what you know what
eat too much chocolate.
Yeah. I can't eat it. With that being said, for my brother Clauswell, myself Clem Akufo, until April 10th. Peace, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.